What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Lilium, tickers LILM. I'm going to give you a good breakdown of the current circumstances, the data points, and based on what was recently submitted after hours on Friday, whether right now is a good time to buy or not. So I'm going to go over all of that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get right to it. So this was a little bit more of a requested follow-up update because my last update video was roughly around 3 months ago, 4 months ago, give or take. And I think the circumstances and the environment as of right now is completely different. But like I said, I'll get right to it. So Friday, it did close down 7%, give or take, and it is at 51 cents. So of course, based on all of this, this does kind of allude to what did come out after hours on Friday. So you do see the SEC filings, press release. On a side note, if you're looking for a lot of good compiled information, take a look at Seeking Alpha Premium, link in the description below for a 7-day free trial. But as you do see right here, there was a SEC submission that was done at 5:01 p.m. So after hours, and ultimately Nasdaq is wanting to boot them off because of the whole threshold, not meeting that $1 for 30 consecutive business days. So this is where Nasdaq is tentatively serving them with that notice. So they do have up until October the 10th, 2023 to regain compliance. So get over that $1 threshold for 10 consecutive days. 9 times out of 10, when a company does get into this certain circumstance, they usually do a reverse split. And of course, unless something substantially changes from now until October the 10th, which I don't anticipate, but of course I could be wrong, I'm not a financial advisor, but if something doesn't change, then they would need to do that reverse split. So of course it is what it is, but based on even their last news that came out, most likely they will need a little bit more liquidity based on their actual last earnings that they submitted roughly around 2 weeks ago. Cash equivalents they do have at the end of 2022, $179.5 million. And based on everything and their operations, they're currently burning through $257 million. So again, if you just look at the basic numbers and the balance sheet, something doesn't add up. So this is also why it's been going down so much, is a lot of companies that have needed liquidity have just gone down. Again, nothing fundamentally wrong with their business because I actually do fundamentally really like their business. This is why I initially did my quick overview of them initially, because in theory, I think this is going to be a very big thing in the coming decades, but right now it just might be a little bit more early for the environment right now, especially considering, like I said already, just the environment of a higher interest rate, higher inflation market is very difficult for a lot of companies that need a lot of liquidity to survive. So this is why over the last little bit, a lot of these kind of plays such as Lilium have really suffered. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. When it comes down to it, I'll give you guys a quick overview of shorts because shorts have been really plaguing Lilium for a while. So short score is 64, utilization is around 38. And as far as what shorts are doing, or at least on Friday, they increased 125,000 shares. So they actually have pulled back quite a lot since I last looked at Lilium. And on a side note, I actually do own them. Just I bought it because I like the fundamental business, but outside of that, I haven't actually looked at it or really thought about doubling down. So of course, that's just my thoughts. Currently, 5.93% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be around 10.11 million shares. So of course, I think that's something to be aware of. And as far as options activity from Friday, it's just absolute pennies. So in total, $444 in call premiums, and as you can see, it's just roughly about 4 different transactions throughout the day. But again, they are all very much calls, insinuating, even though it is very small, it could insinuate that it's going up potentially. But again, options activity doesn't necessarily move the stock price. It's just a little bit more of a sentiment. But if you're one of those individuals that likes to think bigger picture, looking at the put/call premiums, it goes to show that just a ton of calls have been being purchased. So a lot of people do not believe that it should be hit this hard. That's the way I interpret that, at least. And when it comes down to this, there hasn't been any big money buying into Lilium for a while, ever since the 30th. And most likely this is just a lot of ETFs that hold Lilium in their portfolios just rebalancing. So this is most likely what these transactions were at the end of the quarter. When it comes down to it though, as you can see right here, based on where it is at, so around 51 cents, it is between the S3 and the S2. And the way you can interpret looking at some of the fib levels is just different risk levels potentially. So any stock that is between the S3 and the S2 is in severe trouble right now. S2 to S1, kind of, it's on the teetering point, and then so forth, it just gets better and better. But right now, as you can tell, Lilium is not doing too well, unfortunately. So let me know your thoughts on Lilium. Like I said, fundamentally, I actually do like the business. It's going to do a lot of good things, hopefully, assuming it can survive. But the question is it going to survive, especially with delisting? But when it comes down to delisting, clearly they can always do a reverse split, but that's just a temporary patch, in my opinion, because they need to fix the substantial problem behind the scenes with their operation, or else this is just going to continue over and over, and it's going to be a repeated thing. But as you can see here, this was also the latest news on March the 28th. Air taxi firm Lilium says it's funding talks, and also defends a battery design. So like I said about the whole liquidity, because having this amount of cash that they did have based on their earnings isn't sufficient, especially how much they are actually burning through their operations. So like I said at the very beginning, is right now a good time to buy or not? And my long answer is yes. In theory, if you have disposable income, you're not going to watch it all the time, then Lilium definitely is a very risky play. But in theory, if it does play out, long term, you're going to make a lot of good money. So long term, yes, it should be a very good buying opportunity right now. If you are trying to catch the bottom per se, and if you are a short-term investor, then no, I would definitely not buy it right now, because most likely it is going to continue to trend down and down, especially with liquidity issues as of right now, and now delisting potentially hanging its head over it. Definitely not a good sign for Lilium investors. So most likely do anticipate a reverse split prior to October the 10th, potentially, and then several rounds of dilution again, because their latest round of dilution was in November, and clearly they are looking once again for further dilution. So it goes to show every 6 months it does look like they are needing funding, which obviously given the burn rate, it kind of is justifiable. Well, once again, let me know your thoughts on Lilium in the comments below, and give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, because this whole thing that has been happening, you can kind of see this as a virtual cliff potentially. So definitely we are falling off the cliff, and I think the question is there a saving grace that is going to save it potentially? So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, even though hypothetically Lilium is trending down, what you can do is always take advantage of some free promos, such as with Moomoo. Link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account, you get one free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So just sign up, take that one free stock. It is a complete no-brainer. Plus, Moomoo does have $0 commission and also free level 2 trading. So like I said, complete no-brainer. Plus, if you throw $100 at the account, you do get additional 4 free stocks. But with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lilium.